more because of Paris and Jesse, and because I was training them sort of, or had been, so I knew you.
Yeah.
And then you came and worked with us in England.
Yeah. Like being over there and getting to work with you and Nick and seeing, you know, that level of program was like, I learned so much there. And Mary Elizabeth also, like getting to go to the shows with her. And, you know, when we went to Hickstead, and I think I took 13 there to that national show. And it was just such an amazing, you know, I grew up obviously hearing about Hickstead and getting to see it and go there with her and have that support and the group of horses that you guys had me on. It was just, I mean, an amazing experience and something that I never honestly like even dreamed that I would be doing one day.
It's really cool over there. I mean, I think, just first, you know, you think back on it, it's been so long since I first went there. So it seems like it's normal now to go to Hickstead, but it's an incredible experience. And
I think people don't always appreciate how much easier it is when you have really nice horses, and it sounds silly, but like having ones that, like obviously you and Nick have such a great eye for that, and there was so much talent. Like the Jagabond horse was
oh my gosh, I forgot about him,
like so green. But and I did there was one other one I did in the 6-year-old final that you ended up jumping in, really big Curious George. I had him as a 6-year-old. And it's amazing because there are all these horses that I watched continue to grow with her and end up jumping at this highest level. And it was a lot of them charming also.
Oh my gosh, you had charming. You had,
I had
some decent ones. That's true. It was,
but you know,
it was fun, but they were babies.
Yeah.
I mean, they were really young.
But there's so much to be said for how many of them went on to jump at that level. And I think that's a real testament to, you know, the horses that you guys pick out and your, you know, way of producing them and all of that. And it was just, I mean, it was amazing to be a part of. So
you're being very kind, but I mean,
it's true.
It is nice. I mean, I think having Nick have the experience of living there and sort of knowing where to find horses, and sort of us working together and developing them. Sort of, I have my system from America, he has his system from Europe, and sort of mixing the two. I think it's been good.
Especially now, you know, when you're trying to buy horses, it's so difficult to buy them when they're going and they're older, and the price and all of that. But like you said, I think buying them young is so important, but also being able to develop them, because I think there's probably a lot of young horses that don't have the opportunity to go on and be successful.
Well, your horse is a great example. I mean, the one that you're jumping in the big classes now, I mean, that horse was almost missed. I mean, I think he came to America to be an equitation horse or a hunter or something. So, I mean, I think, you know, that's one great example of, you know, how many wonderful horses are there out there that are either not recognized or get into the wrong hands of people who don't know what to do with them. So credit to you and your team that you were able to recognize that this horse has ability, and, you know, take the time to develop it and channel it in the right direction. You know, maybe Nick and I were a small part of just you knowing how to do that, or having faith, because I think a lot of people want to rush the process. And I think that's one thing I see with you and Georgie, is that you're willing to take the time, you know, to develop it. I think it's important that we help the generation that's coming along. I try to make sure, not only with Mavis, but probably any of the riders that are coming along, the younger riders, or the ones who are, you know, not that you're so young, you're young, but, you know, you've been working at this for a long time. I mean, Mavis has done so much behind the scenes that people probably aren't aware of, that now she's finally getting her opportunity to be in front of the scenes, you know, and sort of in the limelight. I would be open to help anyone, you know, if they have questions, whether it's about team competition or, you know, what it takes to be on the team, what it takes for the travel, what it takes for, you know, anything. And any of us really who've been there, I think all of us want to see the United States continue the tradition that was started decades and decades ago of being powerhouses.
I had reached out to Laura and Mary Elizabeth and sent them both a message basically saying thank you for being such a big part of my journey to get where I am now, and giving me as many opportunities as I did, and the tools to, you know, be able to develop and bring along a horse like this. and they were in Spain, which was really nice. So I got down there and had some familiar faces if I ever had any questions. So it's nice having that level of support. I think for me it's a little easier with Laura because I worked for her, and so we have that relationship. But I think it's also a little scary as sort of an up and coming professional or someone who's sort of now moving up to this level of the sport to feel comfortable reaching out and asking for that kind of help. So it's very nice because you are very approachable and very helpful and obviously knowledgeable, but I know that that's something that it seems daunting, but at the end of the day it's really, like she said, everyone's trying to move together and have America be a powerhouse in show jumping again. So.
And I think that in today's world, it seems like it's much more acceptable to ask for help. There was a time, I think, where professionals were very much unto their own. They didn't dare mix with others, for fear that maybe that would be looked upon as weak, or, I don't know. I feel like now, I like asking for advice, or I get Katie Prudon to help me with horses, or, Nick is there on the ground. I think a lot of people now are really much more accepting of people getting help.
Yeah.
But I think you probably remember back in the days when
it was very, I think people kept their circles sort of closed and small, and not necessarily there was anything wrong with that, but I think it would have been strange to reach out and ask someone a question like you felt like you were sort of imposing on them. Like for me, when I started riding again after grooming, I knew a lot of the riders because it had been in Europe. We were all at a lot of the shows together, sort of thing. And I think over there, it feels much more inclusive in a sense.
Much more.
So I'd be, I was walking the course at the first show, and Marcus Ending came walking over and was like, "You have whites on," and was like, what are you showing? What horse are you riding? Tell me your course. And it was just, I was like, didn't know what to say really, and it was, we had this obviously sort of relationship before, but now that I was riding again, it was really nice because I felt like you could go to people and you could ask these things, and I don't necessarily think that you get that same feeling over here, but I think it is getting better now. It's
getting much better, and I think at the team level for sure it is. I mean, I think that's the beauty of riding on Nations Cups teams is it isn't the individual thing. So Mavis is the type of person that she knows the whole sport. So she knows the care of the horses, she knows the veterinary end, she knows all of it. And in that part, you're willing to ask questions. You have to ask questions. You've got to learn by asking. And so now that she's on the other side, it's the same. So I think, somebody like she's willing to ask for help or ask people's advice. There's some riders that, I think would be hard pressed to ever ask. So I think it's a personality thing. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. And it's even, again, it's hard for me too at times because you feel it doesn't come from a place of pride, I guess, but you don't want to feel like you're annoying someone in a moment if you're in the course and they're walking and maybe they're concentrating on what they're doing, and I think obviously again there's a time and a place to do it sort of thing, but I think also getting past that and having the confidence to be able to ask, I think is something that is a skill that you have to learn. I was having a conversation with McLean at I think it was on Thursday or Friday, and he was saying how it's not enough to just be a talented rider. You have to be able to have conversations with people. You have to be able to talk to owners. There are so many different facets of this sport that, you can't just be back at the barn working all of the time and then up at the ring. You kind of have to be in the VIP a little bit and talking to people. And I think that there are, again, so many different parts to it that you sort of learn by doing, but also there are some things that, even in speaking with him, that's something I think innately I've always kind of known, but I've also been the type of person that was just more comfortable being back at the barn and being on that side of things. And it's something that I've been working on, but I think it's a continued work in progress as far as that goes. But I think finding ways to create, again, safe spaces for maybe those people that wouldn't feel comfortable coming up and asking is something like that's kind of, I guess, the nice thing about social media is you can ask people questions where it feels a little bit more private sort of thing. But you know, even for us, you know, being able to sit here and do this, it's nice that we're both in Florida now.
Yeah.
But like, I leave tomorrow, she's going to Europe after this, like, you know, everyone sort of starts going in different directions. So it feels a little like round table-esque, but it's also just for where everyone ends up, maybe not the most realistic way to have that be an option to, you know, have a conversation.